Our top 10 TOEFL writing tips. Get a lot of questions about the writing. Let's get into it right now with tip number 1, keep your verb tenses simple. So this is a question I get asked often about verb tenses. So let's look at it here. In your integrated essay, writing task number 1, you should keep it in the simple present when talking about the lecturer's opinion and reasons for their opinion, and in the simple past when the author or lecturer is discussing past events. So basically, most of the time in your writing, it's going to be simple present. Once in a while, it'll be simple past. Here's an example. I've highlighted in green the verbs, and you can see that they're all in the present tense. Says, states, believes, contends, goes on to say. These are all in the simple present tense. So most of the time, you're going to be using simple present in your essay. Now, I just want you to know that this isn't always the case. Sometimes you will have an essay or a topic that's about a past event, and this is in the past. So the first verb here, has proven, that's actually the present perfect. So that's not the past or the future. That's not the past or the present. We have were here, were mistakenly considered, would have noticed, would have definitely sustained. Those are different verb tenses. So sometimes you might have to use the simple past depending on the topic that you get on your essay, but most of the time it'll be the simple present. Another example here is from a student. Now this is a student that's a little bit confused about verb tenses. The lawmakers are doing many restrictions to assure the fishermen are complying. So they're using what's called the present progressive, and they're using the word do the wrong way as well. It's okay to use the present progressive, but actually it makes your life more difficult. I want to make your life easy. That's the whole point of this, really. I want to make your life easy. Keep it the simple present whenever possible. Of course, note that there will be times when you might need a conditional sentence or you might need another verb tense. However, in general, these are the verb tenses you're going to use most of the time. So sometimes you might get a situation where you need a different verb tense like I showed you before, but most of the time, keep it simple present. Let's look at another example here. Here, first of all, the author mentioned. So this person who's writing is talking about the passages in the simple past. That's okay, you can do that, but I prefer to teach it in the simple present. And also you see here they have some passive voice sentences. You don't have to worry about learning that right now, but I just want to show you that there are definitely different ways to write, but most of the time, keep it simple present. It's the easiest and works most of the time for your integrated essay. Here's another example as well. All right, I'm just at the first tip, so I don't want to take this too fast because there's a lot of information, but also this might take some time. Okay, so for the independent essay, the verb tense, most of the time you're going to be using the simple present when talking about your opinion and your reasons for your opinion. In this example here, this is a body paragraph. The first sentence has the present perfect, so that's actually not the present. But the other two sentences do with is and is. We can look at another example as well that uses the simple past. And you want to use the simple past when talking about your personal examples. So part of your essay, part of your independent essay is your body paragraph. And in your body paragraph, part of it you give an example, a personal example, to help support your reason. If you're not sure about the TOEFL test structure and the writing structure, we have another video about that. I'm assuming that you know a bit about the TOEFL writing already, and so these tips are for students who actually know a bit about it. And you probably know that in your body, you have an example. The example is probably personal and probably something in your past, so keep it in the simple past, just like this example here. This person is talking about their mother. She used to struggle with losing weight. She was tired of trying so many different kind of diets. Some more verbs, were, went, lost, felt, mostly in the simple past. And then let's look at a student's essay. The second reason is do exercises. Okay, so again, do is a little off here. Will be improved. can be overcome. They're using some strange verb tenses here. They're trying to use some conditionals, some future perfect. It doesn't really work very well. So if the student would just stick to the simple present or past, it would be much easier. Sometimes you might have a conditional sentence. We teach it to students who need to get a higher score on the TOEFL writing, but for the most part, I wouldn't worry about this. I would just stick to the simple past or simple present, but I could just show you a quick example of what the conditional sentence would look like. So this last sentence here is a conditional sentence. If my mother had cut out processed food sooner, she would have lost weight at a younger age. I actually don't usually recommend students use the conditional unless they feel really comfortable with their writing, or if you're working with a teacher and a teacher can, give you some more guidance. All right, so that's just tip number 1. I wanted to give you some of the best possible advice. I have 9 more tips to go. Let me just preview what you're going to learn in this lecture here. You're going to learn how to assess your own writing, how to write essays that feel more comfortable and confident, how to study in a way that keeps you focused. You're going to utilize technology to check your writing, and you're going to discover how to write an essay that earns a high score. My name is Josh MacPherson. I'm the head instructor of TST Prep, an online TOEFL school where our mission is simple: to help you get the TOEFL score you need as quickly and as easily as possible. And we got 9 more tips to go. Let's talk about it. TOEFL writing. This lecture is going to be accompanied with a TOEFL writing template guide, a TOEFL writing 24 plus guide. And so you can download that in the description below. It's free, and then you definitely want to use this to practice your studying. All right, just wanted to mention that. Second tip, practice typing your essays without spell check. So on the TOEFL, this is what the TOEFL test will look like. You have the question or the passages on the left, and then on the right is the space where you type your essay. And there's no spell check, it's just blank. So we're used to having spell check notice things for us. Look at this paragraph here. This is a very long paragraph from an essay from TST Prep. Now, can you notice the mistakes? You could pause this video if you want. My point here is that it's much harder to see these mistakes without spell check. So I highlighted them so you can see what the mistakes are. But imagine typing an essay, it looks like this, and when you're using Microsoft Word or Google Docs and it looks like this, it's much easier to correct yourself. So you want to get used to how the test is going to look and feel. It's going to look and feel like this, where you don't have spell check. So practice that same way. Very important. All right, third tip here. Be confident with the writing topics. What do I mean? So look, don't worry if you don't know about the topic for writing task number 1. That's where you have to read and listen to an academic passage. Everything you need to know is included in the passages. Don't worry if you don't know about the topic. Everything you need is in the reading passage and the listening passage. Just read well, listen well, report the information. You're going to do just fine. All right, moving right along. Tip number 4, use templates. Now, why did I put this picture of a very strict teacher? Because a lot of teachers teach you to use templates, use this template, always use this template, it's the best, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to tell you something a little bit different. I think templates are really helpful. I'm going to show you an example here of an integrated template. This is for the body paragraphs. And you could, take a picture of this, you can use it, whatever. I'll give you another example here. This is what the structure of the essay looks like for the integrated essay. It shows you what to do in each paragraph. I'm not going to talk about this in a lot of detail because it takes too much time. This is an independent template. You can take a look at it here, and this is the structure of what it looks like. So at this point, you might be saying, Josh, wait, don't go so fast. Wait, I want to look at this. I have other videos that explain the templates and writing tasks 1 and 2 in more detail. It's not the point of this here. The point here is just to show you a kind of template that you can take a look at, but also to let you know that I want you to make your own template if you can, if you have the time, if you have the patience. That guide, that Writing 24 Plus guide in the description below has different templates, different words and phrases that you can use in your essay, and I want you to make your own. Now, why is that? Because I want you to feel comfortable and confident. If you use my words and you don't understand them, they're not so helpful. I want you to feel comfortable and confident when you take the test. That's why I want to encourage you to use these templates to help you, but just don't copy them if you don't understand them. That's the point, really. But I still recommend a template. So even though I want you to feel comfortable and confident, I still recommend a template. Why is that? Because when you actually take the test, it'll look something like this, where it's just a blank page and a simple question. This is writing task number 2. It's harder to write if you don't have a structure, a template in mind. So study a template, a structure, have some ideas in mind, make sure that you understand them and that they're yours, that you feel comfortable with them. They're not my words, they're what you feel comfortable with. And maybe they are my words, but you're just borrowing them and you feel comfortable with them, that's fine. But I want you to feel confident when you take the test, and part of that is making your own kind of style. And again, the 24 Plus guide in the description below. Check it out, and that'll help give you some advice on this kind of stuff. Okay, tip number 5, write more words. So ETS tends to recommend less words. I recommend more. 250 words for the integrated essay and 350 words for the independent essay. ETS does something like 200 for integrated and 300 for independent. I recommend a bit more. It seems like the more words you write, the higher your score. But, be careful. Here's a pro tip. Do not just stuff words in your essay. Focus on writing a clear, concise, and well-developed essay. Be sure to leave yourself plenty of time to edit. Consider these goals most important. The number of words is important, but it's not most important. More important to write a well-developed, clear, structured essay that is easy for somebody to read. Not to just stuff a lot of words that are really messy. Okay? Words are important. The word count is important, but you shouldn't try to write more words and the rest of your writing suffers. All right, just wanted to say that. Next tip, tip number 6, maximize your editing time. The more time you have to edit, the less mistakes you will have. Makes sense, it's pretty simple. This is connected back to your spell check. There's no spell check, so it's harder to, it's easier to make mistakes. So you want to leave enough time to edit. In this time management breakdown, I only leave 1 or 2 minutes for editing. I would actually edit as much as possible. 3, 4, 5 minutes if you can do it. Take your time to check your essay if you can, because the less mistakes you have, the higher your score. They take off points for these typos. And if you look at this time management breakdown for the independent essay, I give 4 minutes because there's more writing that comes from you, and the essay's longer. So really take your time to edit. It's so important if you can do that. I mean, just to look at this paragraph here. It's hard to look at this paragraph and find mistakes easily. It'll take time to go through and edit and check. So definitely take the time to edit the essay so you can avoid making these mistakes. These mistakes will hurt your score. And I think they're kind of easy to spot if you have the time to read and edit. The more time you have to edit, the better your score. I think I said that 3 times by now, so I'll stop saying it. Tip number 7, check your writing. So basically, the most important thing for you to do here is the best way to improve your writing is to get detailed feedback from an experienced TOEFL teacher. Writing and speaking are productive activities. You produce it. Reading and listening is you just pick a multiple choice. So when you produce something, it's unique to you. Only you write this way. Only you speak this way. So you need personalized feedback. Getting it from a teacher, an experienced English teacher, a TOEFL teacher, or even a friend who knows a bit of English is the best way to do it. So if you need to improve your writing, you need to write and get somebody to give you some feedback. It's going to be really helpful. And also, I'm going to plug the TOEFL Writing 24 Plus guide again because there's a self-grading rubric there. You can take a look at a rubric. It'll look something like this, and you can actually check your own writing. If you can't afford a teacher or you don't have access to friends who know English really well, you can use this checklist. Another great thing in that guide. I'm not going to go through this because it's got quite a bit of detail. We go through it in our courses at TST Prep, but anyway, that's there for you as well, for the integrated and the independent writing. So tip number 8, utilize technology. So this could be really simple. Basically, when you're typing your essay and you finish, you typed it in a place where there's no spell check. You can just copy and paste it into Microsoft Word or Google Docs or something that has an automatic spell checker and even grammar checker. And it's pretty simple. You can go even deeper with utilizing technology, and you could get something like Grammarly. Now, Grammarly has a free version and a paid version. Let me show you what the paid version looks like. I think it's something like 20 bucks a month. I copied and pasted a student's essay in here, and you can see all of the information that it gives you. It's not just about grammar and vocabulary. It's about style, it's about clarity, it's about delivery. Lots of interesting things here. So it's something I recommend to students who are on a budget. The one problem with this is that it's kind of hard for you to figure out like what to ignore, what's important, what's not important. I mean, it'll give you a lot of feedback and it's great, but it might also confuse you a little bit. So that's one technology you can use, but just be a little bit careful with it because it might be a little too much or it could be confusing for you. Something I recommend. Tip number 9, resist the urge to leave. Okay, so it's the last section, the last essay of the TOEFL test. You will have been sitting for almost 3 hours, probably more than 3 hours. You're gonna wanna go home. Totally natural. I understand. I feel the same way. But here's a pro tip. You will wanna go home, take a breath, wait a minute, do not rush through your essay. You've gone this far, take a breath, just try to relax, try not to think about your grumbling stomach or everything else you have to do. Focus on your essay. Make sure you take the time to edit your essay. Don't just finish it and say, "Whew, I'm done," and get out of there. No, edit your essay. It's so important because the more mistakes you have, the lower your score. You want to minimize those mistakes. It's crucial. And tip number 10 is always the same. Get professional support from an experienced teacher. At TST Prep, we have a group of experienced teachers that are ready to meet you and help you get your score as quickly and easily as possible. But that is it. That is our 10 tips. Hopefully you feel like you've learned something, that it's helped you. I'm not going to read all this stuff. You've heard me speak enough already. And don't forget to download the grammar guide, the 24 plus guide in the description below. And also if you visit TST Prep, we have a complete test with an answer key, sample essays for the writing, and all that good stuff. I hope you feel like you've achieved your objectives and now you're able to assess your own writing, write essays that feel more comfortable, study in a way that you're more focused and motivated, utilize technology, and you know how to write an essay that scores high. Thank you for watching. That's it. Please hit the subscribe button, and I appreciate you. And that's it. All right, I'll see you in the next one, guys.